So, all right. Have you ever heard someone say, if only this app did blank, then I would use it? Yeah, I think I know I've said that many times. And as software designers, developers, we usually have this list of features that we want to put into the app. But if our priorities for what we think is important doesn't align with what our users think it is important, will they even use it? How successful is it going to be? Will people adopt it? So wouldn't it be nice if we could prioritize our features in a way that aligns also with the way our users are thinking? So that even from day one, our MVP is of value. Well, that is kind of the progression that we're moving towards here. We've talked about jobs to be done, what that means. We're going to talk about prioritizing the jobs to be done opportunities. And when we think about it, we have hundreds of jobs of customers, things that people want to do in every market. And so when we're trying to think about the market that we're considering entering, it's like, well, which of these opportunities is going to be the best fit for us? What's going to be the best fit for the client? How do you find out? So we're going to go into some specific methodologies and look at some process of how we could apply this jobs to be done prioritization to software. So really, it's going to come down to two steps. The first step, talking to them, surveying. And really our goal is to find out two things. What is important to our users? And then secondly, how satisfied are they right now with what they have? So one of the biggest challenges that we can have is trying to weigh features, but we're just kind of guessing. Is this really going to be of value? Is it really important to the people that we're trying to offer it to? So surveying is a way that we can obtain tangible data and then be able to use that to back up our theories, or perhaps throw them out the window. But we can validate what we believe to be the right thing to focus on. So some practical methodology, Likert scale. What is it? Why do we use it? You've probably taken surveys like this where they ask you, how strongly do you agree with this statement? How satisfied are you with this thing? And you can answer in, well, I strongly disagree, or I strongly agree, or I don't know, I'm in the middle. And we've taken things like this, but it's useful because it allows us to offer a range of options, so the user can kind of place themselves on the scale for us. We can use it to measure things like agreement, frequency, likelihood, quality, importance, and we can assess their level of satisfaction. So two kinds of ways that we can do that. Practically, we have the odd Likert scale. This is where you literally have an odd number of answers. And we use this when we want to allow the user to tell us if they're kind of in the middle, if they're not sure. We also have the even scale. When we're pretty sure it's going to be biased, it's you either love it or hate it, and there's no in between. Or we don't want to allow them to give us an in between. They have to choose. So let's look at an example here. We have an educational survey. This could be perhaps for a student that's attending a class, and we want to find out, how happy are they with the curriculum, how happy are they with the class. So we could ask them, how satisfied are you with your recent training? How relevant do you think it was to your job? How satisfied are you with the curriculum? And what do you prefer as far as curriculum? Do you like lectures? Do you like visual aids? Question and answer, group discussions. Maybe we feel that as our research so far, we've kind of identified some areas, like we're saying, maybe taking notes might be a job to be done along with attending a class. So we can ask them, how do you feel it's important to take notes? How satisfied are you with your ability? What kind of methods do you use? Pen and paper, audio recording, apps. So we get the idea. We can kind of combine some potential jobs to be done questions in there and start to get a picture of what our users' preferences are. Okay. So the next step, once we have the answers to our questions, well, now we're going to do some analysis, measure and compare. And Jonathan did a nice job talking about some ways to do this, and we're going to kind of come back to this. So we have a scatter chart. Scatter chart allows us to compare some data, and specifically what we're trying to do is compare satisfaction with importance. And so when we do that, we can then start to divide up the chart. And we touched on this earlier. But you essentially, you're looking for three groups. So you have your underserved, your overserved, and your served right. Your underserved, these are the ones that are saying, well, this thing is important to me, but I'm not satisfied with my current solution, or I'm not satisfied with perhaps my own ability to do it. You're overserved, the people that are saying, yes, I do it. They may have some growing importance to them, but they're pretty satisfied, very satisfied. And then you have your served right. It's proportional. Satisfaction is proportional with the level of importance that they are giving it. So really, the underserved, when we're thinking in terms of like MVP, underserved is great. Because we're saying, okay, we can come in and solve the problem. There's not a good solution right now. So that's a nice area to look at. Overserved, we can still take action on that, like Jonathan talked about, a disruptive innovation strategy. We could say, well, they have this thing. Maybe we can make it more affordable, more accessible to the masses. And then you have your served right. This is basically saying, well, they're happy. And in this case, we should move on. Let's look at some related jobs to be done. Let's not focus on this area. So we have, again, some examples here. So thinking about that survey that we saw earlier, here are some ways that we could plot that out. We start to compare things like satisfaction of note-taking and their preference for methods of taking them. We can compare even satisfaction with satisfaction in the case of note-taking and curriculum, satisfaction with importance of taking notes, etc. And so then we can start to split up the chart into sections. So as we look at this, we say, okay, the chart in the upper right, it's telling me that maybe the students here, they really did prefer using audio recording, but they weren't very happy with their ability to do that or with the outcome. But they like doing it, and they want to do it. It's important to them. Here in the bottom left, we say, maybe there's a correlation with the student's satisfaction with the class and the curriculum with their ability to take notes about the subject in question. And in the lower right here, we're saying, okay, well, it looks like a lot of students value note-taking. It's important to them, but they're not very satisfied with their ability to do so. So this is just an example, but a way for us to be able to analyze the responses that we get from our users. So how can we make this practical? How can we use this in software development? Well, it really comes down to thinking about, again, we think about our features. We have that list of features that we're considering. It could be hundreds of items long. So how do we know? What are the jobs to be done that our product could tackle? Which features should we provide first? What's our MVP look like? If we could choose which ones would be practical to us as a software development team, what would be practical to the users? So we want to find that out, and it's essentially the same process. So we're surveying our users. We are asking them, what is important to them, gauging their level of satisfaction, and this helps us validate our theories about what we think is important. And then we're analyzing the results. What's most important to the users? Where are the underserved but important gems? Where are the overserved areas that could be improved upon? And then as another step, we could start to compare some things. We might look at our feature list and say, well, out of the features we're considering, Here's the ones that are the most complex and difficult to do. Here are the ones that are easy and cheap. And then we're comparing that with our data that we got back from the users and looking for intersections where, here's something that would be easy to implement and it would mean a great deal to those that are going to use it. And that's really what we'd like to find for something like an MVP. So by understanding what the user needs and wants, we're better equipped to prioritize our feature development. And from the user's perspective, they're getting the solution to the problem. They're happy. And from our standpoint, we can increase MVP adoption right out of the gate. Thank you.